2020, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. So I want to talk a little bit today about feeling invisible during the spiritual awakening process, because this is something that has affected me tremendously. And I just kind of wanted to share my experience with others. So just to see if there's anybody else out there who are experiencing this kind of stuff too. So as I began to go through my spiritual awakening, I started to shift and understand about the matrix and, what was going on, and that there's extraterrestrial life out there that has been hidden from us, and, all of this wild and crazy stuff that we learn as we begin to dig down deeper into the rabbit hole. And I felt like I couldn't talk about this stuff with people. I felt very alone, very secluded. When I would mention it, like slowly, to my family members, they would tell me that I was crazy or nuts or, whatever. Actually, when I mentioned it to my dad, he was like, yeah, I watch Ancient Aliens, and yeah, aliens. And, my dad was actually slightly open to this, where my mom was like, that's ridiculous. And my sister's like, you need an intervention, all of these nutso things, right? So I began to feel like I couldn't share some of these things with people. So I would search on YouTube looking for other people going through this and see if I could find out any other information. Meanwhile, I was digging down the rabbit hole on the side and, seeing what was going on and having a better understanding. But the more that I dug down the rabbit hole, it seemed like the more isolated I became, and it became harder and harder for me to make friends. And when I picked up and moved across the country from Florida to Washington, I shifted my energetic frequency so much that it was like everybody who was in my life in Florida completely dropped out of my life. And when I moved to Washington, it was like, oh my gosh, I need to create an entirely new friend base. Like, this was insane for me. And I've never been one to have a hard time making friends, but in my new identity, in my new self, I wanted to meet friends who were on the spiritual awakening path too, that I could have these deep, meaningful conversations with, these people who I could resonate with. I didn't want those surface level, acquaintances or friends anymore. I wanted friends that I could have meaningful connections with. And that was very, very hard to find. Okay. So, and I still am struggling with it a little bit, but up here in Northern Idaho, there's a lot of different groups that are beginning to form. And I began to think, maybe it's time for me to start a group. Maybe it's time for me to get out there and, leave my little hermit stage of the spiritual awakening process and begin to connect with others on a deeper level. And maybe I'm the one who needs to forge the path, the unbeaten path, right? So we get so caught up on what society thinks that we need to do, or we get scared and we sit back and we don't want to appear weird or crazy to others. So we may just, kind of hide who we are behind our closed door and not share, these experiences. I know there's a lot of people going through the awakening process, and I did too. Once you begin to dive into the conspiracies, you begin to get really paranoid that everyone is watching you. The government, men in black, are going to knock on your door, and they're going to, tell you and zap you with their little zapper, and, all of these things are going to happen to you. And there's a lot of people out there who are in that process right now. And I will definitely say, the more that you work on raising your vibration, you're not in alignment with that. You are not in alignment with that happening. And there are more people in the world than there are these elite, right? So I always see this image. There's this image of these elite men, sitting at a table, and they've got these big rings, and they're playing poker, and they have all this money and all this, and they're sitting at a table, and the table underneath it, the legs of the table are the people. The people are on their, all fours, and they're holding the table up. And it says, if we just stand up, that they won't be able to do this anymore, right? So that's where we're at, is the more people that awaken, the more people that begin to share their experiences, the more people that begin to make these changes in the world, standing up for all of this stuff that's going on that we don't agree with, that we have been manipulated to believe, pertaining to our healthcare system, our government, our monetary system, the way that we live, the way that we live in the matrix, all of these things that we have been subconsciously programmed from a young age through the educational system is, we begin to wake up to these things, and each and every one of us has our own niche, our own niche, right? Where we can fit in and start planting seeds. So one of the main purposes of us here on this planet, us star seeds, right, is to plant seeds from the stars, plant seeds of consciousness, plant seeds of higher vibrational energy, plant seeds of love, seeds of hope, seeds of healing, right? So each and every one of us, our role is to plant seeds, and that's what we do. So ask yourself, where am I on a vibrational standpoint? Am I planting seeds of negative vibration? Because that's not our purpose. We need to step out of that. And believe me, I understand it. I was there too. I was in that cycle of, this sucks, life sucks, I'm in the matrix, how do I get out of it? Blah, blah. I was there too. But then I had to put on my big girl panties and pull them up and step out of that crap. And like I said, Bach flowers friggin', catapulted me out of that. Bach flowers may not be what catapults you out of it. Maybe it's essential oils. When I was talking to my masseuse last week, she told me her spiritual awakening started with essential oils. What those things do is they raise our vibration. It's almost like they're like, hello, wake up, wake up. You guys are in a really long slumber. It's time to wake up. It's time to see the illusion. It's time to see beyond the veil, right? And so crystals could do that for you. Share in your comments, what the heck triggered you on your spiritual awakening? Maybe it's a whole food plant-based diet. Maybe you started to travel more and you began to see other cultures doing things differently than we do here in America. I feel like America has this very big veil, very big, when you go on an airplane and you have the eye mask on. America has a big old eye mask on, right? So we're being blindfolded, from everything that's going on, where these other countries are seeing things from a different perspective, right? So as we go through this process, you may feel invisible. You may feel like, oh my God, I have no friends. And if you go down the rabbit hole and you get into the hole of Dolores Cannon is a woman, she's passed away, but she's a woman who would do hypnosis, but she would go deeper into the subconscious mind, into areas where other hypnotists didn't want to go. And she has some really cool information out there about the waves of volunteers that are here right now on the planet. She talks a lot about extraterrestrial life. What is our purpose here as starseeds, empaths, whatever it may be, light workers. And she talks about the backdrop people, the people who are in our reality that are meant to be backdrops. And it is so fascinating. So if you haven't learned about that, go check it out. It's pretty cool stuff. And I apologize if you go down that rabbit hole for 3 days. I'm sorry. Just try to pull yourself out of it. I find myself in like Alice in Wonderland, going down all these rabbit holes, right? Alice in Wonderland in its own is like a really messed up story. But so we know here as, we go through this process, each and every one of us is finding bits and pieces of knowledge. We're finding those seeds, okay? So we need to make sure that as a collective, we are planting seeds that are of the highest vibration and that are of the best good for humanity and for the collective. So if we are, really into the conspiracy stuff, which is cool, but we are being really aggressive about it, we have to stand back and ask ourselves, if you're trying to plant a seed, you're trying to plant a plant and you're stomping on it, trying to drown it with water, do you think it's going to grow? Probably not. I mean, I don't have a very green thumb, but I can only imagine that if we're stomping on the plant and we're smashing it with water and we're drowning it with water and we're yelling at it, it's probably not going to grow, right? So we need to plant seeds in a positive way, in a soft, positive approach, in a loving, compassionate way, from our hearts, from our heart chakra, guys. So if we aren't understanding why the people around us, like many of us on a spiritual awakening, some of us just clam up. We're like a little hermit crab over here. Oh, we got all this going on. I'm not going to share it. But then other ones are like busting out of the shell, like, ah, this is what's going on in the world. Ah, and so it's like, we need to be in the middle. Okay, guys, we need to find a way in the middle, and we need to be able to share these seeds, plant these seeds into the collective consciousness, but we need to do it in a way that is positive, that is uplifting, and that is high vibrational. Okay, so if you can do that, then that's really good progress. All right. And believe me, I've been on both ends of the spectrum. I've been in the hermit crab stage, and I've been in the shout it from the rooftop stage, but neither one of them were getting me anywhere. I had to just kind of, be patient, listen, plant a little seed, and know that that seed may not be planted in their conscious mind, but it's being planted in their subconscious mind. Okay, guys? Every single person here on the planet right now, from a subconscious net level, knows that this is happening. They know that the earth is shifting. They know that they were put here to go through this awakening process. They know that they were meant to be here on this planet at this time for a reason. But consciously, they are being programmed, right? They're stripping away these programs slowly. And you and I both know we all went through our spiritual awakening at different times. Like I said, mine started in 2010. Maybe many of you went through it way earlier than that. Oh my God, I feel so bad for you. You must have been so alone. Ah, 2010 is a long time ago for me. And I feel like if you were going through that way earlier, man, it's hard. It's really hard. But as we move through this new decade, we are going to begin to see the energy shifting, okay? So those seeds that we planted, we're going to start seeing sprouts. We're going to see those sprouts, and we're going to be grateful, and we're going to be excited that those sprouts are starting to happen. So we're going to start seeing things like disclosure. We're going to start seeing some of our healthcare systems crumbling. We're going to start seeing our government systems crumbling. We're going to see our banking systems crumbling. But just realize they're crumbling because we are creating new, right? For every ending, there's a new beginning. Okay, so as we watch these crumble, us as starseeds, empaths, light workers, way showers, whatever we are, we need to hold that energy. We need to not engage in it, in that lower vibrational third dimensional energy. We need to hold our own positive high vibe energy, because as everybody else is circling the drain, we need to hold ourselves up, right? We need to hold our light, hold our energy. That's why we've been going through this process. We have been shedding all of that lower vibrational, dense energy, all of that garbage. We are shedding it to make us stronger, to make us more powerful, to make us more of an open vessel, to hold this energy, to hold this light, because these activations are coming to us, right? These downloads, these activations. Many of us are seeing synchronicities. Okay, these synchronicities are coming in different ways. Numbers, for me, it was like 11:11, bam, 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 bam. 9:11 was the first one that I saw. Like, hello, Tanya, get your act together. It's time to wake up. Okay, you are not taking care of your body. You're not taking care of your mind, yourself, whatever. Time for some self-care. 9/11. Then 11:11 came, and now 44. It's freaking ridiculous how many times I see 44. It's just insane. So these activations are more than just angel numbers. These are downloads. These are codes. These are codes coming at us from a subconscious level. So when you see these, just know that you are being leveled up. You are being activated. And when you begin to make these shifts and these changes in your life, and you follow these synchronicities, they become stronger and stronger and stronger. And you're like, whoa, like these codes and activations are moving us through these timelines. So many of us right now might be on a timeline that we're unhappy with. We don't like our life. Our job sucks. We're stuck in the matrix. When you begin to shift and change your energy and shift between these timelines, these synchronicities are going to get stronger, and they're going to validate to you that, hey, you're moving along the right path. You needed to shift out of that job, out of that relationship, out of that living situation in order to level up. Right? We're leveling up, and leveling up is not comfortable. I'm not going to lie, guys. Leveling up is not comfortable. There's a lot of uncertainty in it. There's a lot of, healing that needs to take place. There's could be some pain in that process. But when we level up, it's taking us and shifting us to a new vibration, a new frequency. So every time we level up, we go through that change, through that transition. And once we level up, we feel a little bit lighter, okay? And then we get there, and then we hang out in that comfort zone for a little bit, and then you're like, all right, it's time to dive back into that cold pool, right? And we go back in, and we level up again, and then we get there. So it's like you're just climbing these rings of this ladder, right? These steps of this ladder, and then we're taking a rest at every step, okay? So there's going to be a time when this energy is going to be a lot easier. All right. Right now we are like in quicksand. We are in quicksand in this third dimensional energy. But as we begin to shift, as these energies begin to move more with us, to work with us, we will begin to feel better. We will begin to feel more in flow and more in tune with that. Many of us are living in that fifth dimension right now. It's like we're hanging out up there. If you watch Aaron Dowdy, he says he's drinking kombucha and playing with puppies up in the fifth dimension. Love Aaron. He's hilarious. So it's like some of us are living in that fifth dimensional frequency, but we still have some residual energy of that third dimensional frequency here that we're trying to clear and rid ourselves of. Many of us have been brought here on the planet to clear that generational trauma, to clear, those low vibe energies. And I know personally that's been my experience. I have been here to clear those outdated patterns or programs in the subconscious of my family lineage. And that's what I'm here to do. And in the meantime, I'm shining my light, raising the vibe, and just really trying to live my life to the fullest and the best that I can. So I hope that this video resonated with you. And if there's things that you guys want to share that you're going through, then I totally always want to hear that, because this path hasn't been easy, but you know what? It's going to be so rewarding. We are moving through these karmic lessons like nobody's business, right? So and you know how it felt like when you finished high school or college or some sort of a program that you went through for work or whatever. It was probably really hard to get through, but once you did, you felt really accomplished. And that's where we're going to be, right, guys? So hang in there, keep your head up, keep shining your light bright, and hold that energy, guys. Hold that higher frequency. Do not dive into that distracting energy that we have a lot going on right now. There's a lot being sifted. So try to stay strong, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.